Fabio Bartolotta, an individual with strong family ties to defendants convicted in connection with the Pizza Connection narcotics distribution case of the 1980s. Out of a coffee shop in the Ridgewood section of Queens, who have engaged in numerous armed robberies and other violent crimes.
And it's a shame I'm not the man I used
to be. Hello and welcome back to 52 Topics with Frank Fiordolino. Ridgewood, A True Story. Season 2, Episode 7. You're Dead. So Frank, in Episode 6, we spoke about the real story of Kenny's demise. We went into the beef you guys had with the Madison kids, the little drive-by shooting, all of that drama. And now we're marching towards the year 1992. What's going on, man?
Well, it's a new year, 1992. This is pretty much a very busy year for the Giannini crew. So going back to Kenny, I was in Bell Boulevard, I don't know, a couple of months after Kenny had been killed. So on Bell Boulevard, there was this bar that Vito used to have a couple of his friends work there, bouncers that he used to work back. People associated with his people own that bar there. Matter of fact, it was the bar where that guy Bannon killed. I think he killed 2 people, a court officer, and injured another one. He was a bouncer there, roid rage, had nothing to do with Vito. But later on, they went looking for him because he was on the lam. And they thought Vito was hiding him. But they could never prove that. That was in around then. But I walk in there and I see John Toronto. John Toronto is Joe Toronto's nephew. He's a Castello, he's like myself. And his uncle was one of the 3 that got killed in the Carmine Galante hit. And he's dating at the time Kenny's sister. Very pretty girl. And you know, I felt bad because I didn't know what happened to Kenny at the time. You know what I mean? And I kind of, I don't know, I was drinking a little bit. I had Vito. Vito was with me, coincidentally. He was in the bar on one side. She was with John on the other side. And I went over there and I said, hey, I'm sorry about your brother. You know, he was a friend of mine. Maybe it wasn't the right place, I guess. You know, it was a bar. She says, thanks. Hey, John, I didn't mean nothing by it. You know, she's upset. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset her. So Vito looks and goes, what the fuck did you say? I said, I don't know. I was just giving my condolences. And he smirks and he goes, did you really fucking do that? I said, yeah. He goes, what the fuck? I said, I don't know. Fucking guy was all right with me. You know, it just ended there. I know I crossed the line in some way, or just maybe, you know, I just stopped. You know what I mean? I knew enough. It was in a comfortable conversation, but that was the last time. And then a lot of years later, I seen her make a comment about her brother, and they were talking about the Giannini crew in one of these mob podcasts, and she had wrote a comment like, "Hey, these are the same people who killed my brother." So that was left at that, but. You know, like I said before, he was all right with me. You know, he did screw over a lot of people, and in that life, that's one of the outcomes. You know, So that ended like that. But this is a new story. So these guys are getting over. We talked about the Madison Street. They're shooting. They're robbing things. They're getting places in that fucking world real quick. They're not afraid of nobody. They'll go into anybody, and there's a clique of them growing, and the bond with Kenny's death makes these guys bond even more, bond and murder, if you will. And so the next target is a robbery gone bad, if you will. They didn't go initially to. We'll talk about the outcome for people who don't know about it, but they were going to rob these guys. These guys were Steve Pegnazzi and John Ruisi, and these guys had gotten into some weed. Apparently, word on the street was they robbed a big drug dealer, a big pot dealer, if you will, of 500 pounds of weed. In the process of robbing these drug dealers, one of them got shot in the leg. Word gets out, and now they're trying to dump this load. They run into Fabio. Fabio we talked about him in the other episode. You're familiar with him, Fabio Bartolota. Bartolota, as they would say in Italy. So they go, we have weed. And Fab goes, well, how much you got? He goes, 500 pounds. Now, knowing that Fabio's family comes from, major weight in the age business, these guys and they have money. These guys, they're for real, So you got any of the weed on you? He goes, yeah. He goes, all right, just bring it back to the club and we'll talk about it. Meaning Fabio's club. And that's the one on Elliott and Metropolitan that Fabio had his blessings by Patsy Conti to open up, because Patsy was making Fabio at the time. Now, Fabio from the last episode is the one who's involved. He's a trigger man in Kenny's death. They get together and they hatch a plan. Okay, the motive. There's 6 of them, I believe. Paul Ragusa, Tabita, Vito, Ricardo, who was involved in the Madison. Remember, he was in the bike.
Right, correct.
And he was the shooter in that drive-by. Yeah. And Anthony Siaka, who was the guy who was riding the bike. They get together, and they're going to meet at Fabio's club with the intentions, listen very closely, to rob these guys. So this is how they're situated. You have Ricardo and Anthony Siaka behind the bar. Okay? They're going to apparently tie these guys up. You got Paul in a closet, and I don't mean it that way, you know what I mean? And
stupid.
And then you got, which is they come out right. Then you got Vito and Anthony Tabita in the bathroom. All right. And so you got those guys situated, and Fabio is the one who's going to greet these two guys when they come in to Fabio's club. They're both
this
the quick.
This is like the scene out of Carlito's Way. You got the guy behind the bar. You got the guy it's almost like the same fucking thing.
No, I know, for sure.
Yeah, not to make light of it as a movie reference, but you get it.
Now, Tabita had a thing about hiding things in peculiar places. He was always that guy. Either it be in a mailbox, with a bag coming out, or if something's supposed to go down. The fire, we were talking about the fire alarms. We used to break into them and put stuff in there. And he had, in the football machine, he had a rifle in there. He was equipped with a 38. Vito was with a signature 9. It's the actual 9 Sig. Paul, I don't know if he was holding, and the other 2 guys had the ropes, but they were, and Fabio was equipped too. But they come in. So here they come in. They got leather jackets on. Okay, they come in, and I remember now. I give you the John Ruisi background. I knew from Christ the King. Was always happy-go-lucky. He had braces at the time for an older kid, which was rare, but not unheard of. So he I didn't think he ever would come. He came from a good part of town. And there was the Pagnazzi kid, which I didn't know that well, but he's whoever you talked to said he was a good guy as well. So they walk into this place. They got their leather jackets on, according to the stories I got. When they come in, everybody comes out of their spots. They put them to the ground, and they say, "Hey, just talk to us, and everything's gonna be all right." Okay? They're startled. They got Paul coming out of the closet. They got Anthony and Vito coming out. They're armed. They're pulling guns on them, and the other two guys are waiting until they put them on chairs. And Paul's there. So when they come in, and Fabio, when they come in, they sit them down on chairs and they start tying them up. And they want to know where this weed is. Where's the fucking weed? Don't fuck with us. Where's the weed? We're just gonna want the weed, and you guys go. Whatever the fuck. I don't care. Give us the weed. It wasn't the first time they beat people for money. They knew they had a strong crew. So they didn't give a fuck. They probably didn't figure these guys to ever come back at them anyway. Because I would say they considered them a little bit below the radar of killing people. I'm not saying soft, but not that type.
Right. Not at the level.
Right. So they go on fucking they're not hitting them and they're not doing nothing. They say, we're not going to play this fucking game. Either you tell us where the fucking shit is or we'll just kill you. Just tell us where the fucking shit is, all right? After they get tied up. And at this point, Ruiz, he goes, fuck you. I ain't telling you shit. Later on, from these guys, I've hung out with them many times. They told me that this kid, Ruiz, which was the kid I went to school with, had a pair of fucking balls. He had a pair of cast iron balls. This guy was somebody you didn't want to fuck with, okay? Not fuck with. He had balls. It's just, and I was like, wow, he came a long way from high school, And I'm like, he's not giving up anything. And his friend's quiet, but he ain't saying nothing. See, if you would have asked me who out of the two, knowing their characters, would have been that guy mouthing off, I would probably went with Pagnazzi. But in this case, it's Ruiz. They spend a lot of time going back and forth on these guys, and they're thinking, what are we gonna do? They keep talking to themselves. They have their car outside, their Pathfinder. This is the Pathfinder they came there with. And John makes a mistake. John Ruiz, he does. He tells Vito, fuck you, you're dead. You're fucking dead. At this point, robbery is now not only the intention, because if you're going to tell me you're going to kill me for some fucking reason, then in that case, fucking, I might as well kill you because you're not gonna fucking. That's how the world is, I'm robbing you, and you're fucking gonna say you're gonna kill me. So they're huddled. They're in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. They're like, these motherfuckers ain't gonna do nothing. What do you want to do? You want to start fucking just beating on them until they do? He goes, nah. Fucking. But this guy's fucking being a little lippy. He's mouthy. I don't know, man. So Paul and Vito talk to the side. They talk in the other room. What do you want to do with them? So at that point, while they're talking, this is where it gets weird. Ruiz has a gun in the back of his fucking pocket. Okay? And Tabita seeing him, he's reaching for something like to throw a side and fucking shot. When Tabita sees this, he runs right to fucking Ruiz. He kicks the fucking thing down, takes his gun. All right? He takes his gun. He takes Ruiz's gun, and now they look at each other, go, what the fuck we're going to do? And Vito, they talk. Vito looks at fucking Tabita, and he goes, go ahead. Tabita goes up to freaking the Pagnazzi kid and shoots him in the head. Pop! One time, knocks him out dead. Vito grabs Ruizi's gun because he doesn't want to use his own 9 because he likes this gun so much. He says, I ain't going to use this fucking gun. And, I like this gun. It's my signature 9. He uses Ruizi's gun and shoots Ruiz twice in the head. Boom, boom. Now they went from a robbery to a double homicide. What do? The one kid starts fucking getting a little excited, but he's holding it, and Anthony's looking at him like, stop. That's Ricardo. Just stop. right? Because this is not the place with these two guys to fuck around, Paul and Vito, because there's going to be 3 bodies. You understand? They put him on the floor. They put him on the floor. They got to transport him. But before they do that, they send Ricardo and Siaka to go get gasoline, the guys who tied it up. And they go to get the gasoline. While they got the gasoline, they got these 2 guys on the floor, and they put plastic bags over their heads. So they put plastic bags over their heads, and they lay them on the floor. And now they send Ricardo and Anthony Siaka to go get gas because they're going to light them on fire once they dispose of them. So like that, to kill evidence and to make a statement. Statement killings were a thing back then, and I know that was burning the bodies was one thing. They did it with Kenny. They're going to try to do it again now. With that said, Tabita sees Tabita apparently, they told me Tabita made it noticeable that this guy was moving. This Ruisi was still moving. So he asked Vito, "What the fuck is up with this guy?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. It's just his nerves. That's he's got shot twice in the head. He's dying. Don't worry about it. Got a plastic bag over his head. It's nothing's going on." So they wait for these guys to come back with the gas tank, and this kid is like he's seen a ghost, Ricardo. And they look at him and they're like, we got this. Don't worry about it. Well, I'll talk to him. They were like the Siaka and Anthony were trying to fucking save this kid, because he pisses these guys off. It's another ball game. They load the bodies. They put him in the fucking truck. They put him in their truck, the ones that they came with. And they got the crash car behind, the legal car. Ricardo, they told to stay at there. They don't want him to come with them. And he stays behind. So you got Paul driving, and you got Vito in the front seat, and you got the 2 bodies in the back with the plastic bags. You got Tabita, Fabio in the back with Siaka, with Anthony Siaka. So they're driving from Metro to Greenpoint. They're going from Queens to Brooklyn on Metropolitan. And it's that spot where everybody used to dump bodies in. That was the one where the Anthony Aiello body, they shot that one guy out there for
right.
Same area. Yeah, Pizzola. It's an industrial area. Matter of fact, in the one body I was involved with, they even dumped the body there. Same strip. It's just, where do? We go this way and we just go that way. That's it. Especially like in those situations where you don't want to hold the body for too fucking long or bury whatever. So that's what they did. They're driving, and from the back, I don't know which one of them seen it. Out of the 3, but one of them sees one of the bodies moving, and now he took the bag off his head. And they're like, "What the fuck?" Like they're having a conversation, I said, "Come on, pull up by them, because this fucking guy's alive, and if he has a gun, he's gonna kill both of them, whatever." And they pull up. So Tabita gets out with Siaka, and Siaka has the gas. They go over there, and they go, "Yo, this guy's alive. This guy's alive." He goes, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, looks back, and he sees him, and he's going to Vito. It's cold. Like, because he's in shock. And the window was open. They go, "Well, they get out, start throwing fucking shit, and they start throwing gas in there." Siaka starts throwing the gas in there. He's still alive. And while he's throwing the gas in there, he's still screaming, "Vito, it's cold," but he's in shock, screaming it, and the gasoline makes it more colder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point, they douse both bodies, and then boom, they put him on fire. Later on, that gets Anthony Siaka 22 years in jail, because it was like after the fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and there's after the fact and before the fact. That actually is what killed John Ruisi. Tough guy. A lot of them later on that I've had conversations with. Not a lot of them, a few of them. And then even today, they were talking about that night. He really showed that he didn't give a fuck, and they end up leaving the car there. Years later, obviously, this gets um, solved. It gets solved, and we'll discuss that eventually. But the whole thing about this case was there's two theories to where the drugs go. I've heard a theory where the girlfriend had the drugs in her house, the marijuana. It's hard to call marijuana drugs these days, but the marijuana was the weed, whatever, was at her house. And when she found out that her boyfriend and her boyfriend's best friend, who was John Weesey, had been killed in the manner they got killed, and she didn't want nothing to do with it, and she got rid of it. The other theory was that it was in his father's house, I believe in Glendale. I've heard that version too. So I don't know which ones were true, but if I had or who's got it right and who's got it wrong, that happens in these mob shows. But if I had to guess, I would go with the girlfriend theory, and she didn't live too far actually from where they both got killed that night. Well, you know what I mean, where they were supposed to get robbed in Fabio's club on Elliott and 69th. And that's where we're at with this story now. What do we got to look ahead?
So at the time when this event occurs, did you hear anything on the streets, or did you have an inkling of what was going on? Or
See, John didn't grow up with many people around him, but Steve did. Steve was a popular kid. I believe he was from the Williamsburg section. I remember there was a lot of people over there that we used to be cool with. They used to see us in certain places, and they would like not be as cool anymore. Because they had a mural of him on a rooftop. I remember that. So he was very popular. Did I know where it came from at the time? No, I'd be lying if I told you yes. It took a while. And little by little, the thing about us was we were close. We were close that even if we did moonlight with other families or did things together, some things used to come out, blurt out now and then. But you didn't. You just left it at that. You didn't go with it. You know what I mean? You left it at
right,
that.
right. And,
It
so,
wasn't
and
like, oh, what
obviously,
happened? Or even if they kid me around, they would be like, well, I heard about that other thing, and then I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, and smile, and it would just stop. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but there was some like I grew up with these guys, most of these guys, all my life. Obviously, I met Vito later in life. Like he, the little hint he gave me one time on Ralph, you seen Ralph around? I said, no. He goes, you ain't going to see him either, so that was it. You don't have to be a fucking brain surgeon. The next day, the fucking family got a whole crew looking for him,
Yeah.
The mom is fucking going after Ivani because they were always together day and night. And the poor kid, he went to the funeral. He goes, I loved him. I didn't do nothing. He goes, where is he now, Rob? They're like he had something to do with it. Rob is harmless. You know what I mean? He had nothing to do with it. But stuff, yeah, that you hear it. I mean, it was a small neighborhood with a lot of big things going on. That's what it comes down to. But there's a lot more to come. 1992. That's where we're at right now, and it's gonna be for a couple of episodes and seasons. You're gonna hear a lot of fucking shit. I told you about this, the calm before the storm. I wasn't kidding. Season 1, I ease you onto this. Season 2, at the end it starts getting fucking crazy, and it starts getting crazier.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this series that we do and some of the things that we speak about here is that as far as like Italian organized crime, Frank, like the 1990s is kind of like the last of the violent outlaws, right? Whether you're talking about the Path Avenue guys or we spoke about the Kings Highway stuff, you talk about your cousin Dino, talk about Cafe Giannini and these guys, this is like the last, basically,
Hurrah. Yeah, it definitely is. And then by the time Messino goes to jail, like 3 or 4 years before he goes to jail, the storm is starting to calm down. But when he goes to jail, then the mob is just not what it used to be. Let's get back to Ricardo, though. Ricardo was a very lucky man that night. He almost got killed. If it wasn't for both Anthony's telling him to stop acting the way you're doing, you're going to get killed. Okay, so Ricardo was having a bad. Murder ain't for everybody, and you could talk a good game until shit like that happens. He thought there was going to be a robbery. And matter of fact, if he thought they were going to kill them, they would have never went to get the gasoline. You understand? That was an afterthought. They just thought that these guys were a couple of herbs, and that we could just take their shit and they ain't going to do nothing, because at the end of the day, we're 30 to 60 strong, and there was a lot of people they were taking shit off for like it was nobody's business, or putting machines in places, or telling them this is my spot now. And people were like, okay, I don't want no problem. Put your shit in here. And they got a little bit of what they didn't think they were going to get. And that's what happened. They gave him the don't fuck with me. He goes, I'll catch you. He said, I'm going to kill you. That's not one thing you tell that guy. You don't tell that guy you're going to kill him. That's like, you just sign your own fucking death warrant,
Yeah.
I remember just kidding around one time, and I said, oh, come on, you sound crazy, or something like that. And he got pissed. And I said, bro, I was just kidding. We're friends. You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, I know. But he was like hurt by it. It wasn't like he wanted to kill me. He goes, yeah, I know we're friends. I don't know why you would say that. I was like, I didn't. I said, I'm sorry. He goes, no, okay, we're good. But it was like, you got to watch out. This guy's telling me he's going to kill him. That didn't sit right.
What is that? Like he doesn't want people to think he's crazy?
No. Or have a friend of his I don't even think it was that. I was like, what are you, an asshole? Something like that. And it was something that he didn't expect from me. And at the same time, I caught myself and said, what the fuck did I just do? I was just trying to be funny. And we went like, it's not like he wanted to choke the shit out of me, but he was like he was hurt. And then after hurt comes anger, you know what I mean?
Right.
I cut that right away, because come on, I always tell everybody too, I like the fucking guy. It's not like I didn't. And I told you he was protective of me. I know, you might have a fucking tiger, right? Everybody hates that tiger, but that tiger loves you, and you love that tiger, and fucking that tiger does bad things, but you know what? He don't do it to you, so what the fuck you gonna do?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like how it was, And I talked to him even after, not when I cooperated, obviously, but when he got locked up, I still corresponded with him from jail. He was in Marion prison. I would write him letters. He would write me back. His roommate, the cell next to him was John Gotti.
That's right. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I was with him. I'm not trying to, that's who he was. That's why people, not that, he also did his time. He did fucking 30 something years. And, he's definitely legendary in my neighborhood if you like that kind of stuff. And that's where we are with that.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ridgewood, A True Story, Season 2, Episode 7, You're Dead.
You must leave now, take what you need, you think will last. But whatever you wish to keep, you better grab it fast. Yonder stands your orphan with his gun, crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, baby, the saints are coming through, and it's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use your sense. you have gathered from coincidence. The empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns